Guys, Polkadot Insider team, could you please give me the co-host access, and I'll add Naeem to the speakers list as well.
Yes, of course. I'm doing right away. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just sending you the co-host. Yeah, that's perfect.
Wonderful, thank you. And Naeem, I have just sent over the speakers invite. There should be a little pop-up on your screen. If you can just accept it, and you'll join the speakers table. And Taha's here already accepted the speaker slot, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, so sorry. So is Mr. Naeem here as a speaker already?
No, I think he's just accepting the invite. I'll just message him quickly, but we definitely have Taha here. Hey, Taha.
Yeah, I've seen Mr. Taha Naeem. Yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome. Yep. Hey guys, I'm here.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Yeah, everyone. Just so honored.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited for this Spaces session and looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Finally, we have the space together. Yeah. Yeah, so we have the audience here and we have you guys here. So I think that we are good to go. Yeah. So let's get started. So hello, Polkadot community. I'm Anna from Polkadot Insider. And yeah, Anna is back with another AMA. And today I'm so honored to have on its space a very, very fantastic project, which is Ferum Network. And Ferrum is ushering in the era of blockchain interoperability 2.0, empowered by the multi-chain messaging engine known as Quantum Portal. Ferum Network's mainnet will bring a lot of value, data, and functional interoperability to every chain in the industry. Yeah. And in case you first know about us, Polkadot Insider, so we are a channel updating news, data analytics, real-time data, and research about projects to support retail investors' views when they want to invest in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem. Yeah, so going through with me in this AMA today, I'm so honored to have Mr. Taha and Mr. Naeem as the main speakers, but every member from the Ferum Network wanna join, please give me know. Yeah, feel free to invite, to give me the sign that you want to speak. Yeah. So they're gonna share with us what is so amazing about Ferum Network, and also what are the upcoming steps from them that we are supposed to catch up with, everyone. All right, no more waiting, let's get started. Yeah. So to kick off the stage, so sir, can you take turn to introduce a little bit about yourself, and so a quick overview of Ferum Network to your perspective. Yeah. So Mr. Taha, you can go first. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. Just want to introduce everyone. It's nice to be here. Thank you so much, Anna, for the invite and the intro about Ferrum briefly. My name is Taha Abbasi. I serve as the Chief Technology Officer at Ferum Network. I have a background in blockchain since right around 2013-ish. I officially got involved in the development side of it around 2017. Before that, I have a background working at some really interesting organizations like National Geographic's Channel, NASA, JPL Labs, Apple, so on and so forth, among some other interesting projects around as well. I also have a software development house that was started about a decade ago and now has a global footprint. But currently, obviously, since about 2021, I've been full-time involved with Ferum Network. Naeem, I think it would be good to kind of give an intro. Naeem is the co-founder of Ferum Network. So Naeem, do you want to kind of go give a quick intro, and then we can get into Ferum Network and what it's about?
Hello. Do you guys hear me well?
Yeah, that's perfect,
checking.
sir.
Okay, perfect. So Thank you for having us and setting up this AMA. I'm the, I'm the co-founder of Ferum Network. My introduction with crypto was long time ago. Basically, when I was in university, I was doing a PhD in distributed database systems, and that was kind of what Bitcoin is. Basically, it's a distributed database system with some um, unique abilities of uniqueness. And I read the um, white paper back there. Unfortunately, I was not really involved with the idea behind Bitcoin to understand the real value. But never is too late. So I 2017 came back to the idea of doing something with this sort of blockchain technology. And at that time, the real problem was that there were a lot of competitors like to the Bitcoin, and there were a lot of chains coming up right and left. And I was thinking, how can we sort of connect these together? So, in a way, interoperability was the reason Ferrum was born. Although the technology in 2020, it's been just a few years ago, but the technology was hugely different from now. And we had some ideas and some plans to do it that way, which we can go later in terms of what we do now. But things we were initially thinking of doing was completely different. So, yeah, I am originally from Iran, and if you hear the news or something, we are a country that is heavily sanctioned. So, moving funds around or moving money around is always a big problem for an Iranian. So that was always a challenge that I was familiar with. And crypto is definitely something that opens up huge opportunities in that area. And then I basically moved to US, and I was working there at Bloomberg while I met in, and we started the Ferum Network. And it's been a long journey, and now we are where we are today.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah, we can see that there have been a lot of changes, especially towards technology. Yeah, there were ups and downs, but Ferrum Network is doing a great job. And yeah, it's so interesting to get to know more about you guys and also a bit more about Ferrum Network. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. So it's a great appetite. Yeah, we are down to find out what we have on the main menu today, everyone. Yeah, so let's get started into it. Yeah. So what do you think really makes Ferrum Network approach to interoperability so unique and so amazing compared to other solutions in the market? Yeah, what do you think, Mr. Nine?
Yeah. So um, one thing that we found very interesting in terms of approach in interoperability was that um, uh, basically we have been working on this problem for a while, and there are a lot of other companies that do similar things, and it's very interesting that we can see that the solutions technically are converging. So it seems like there is one optimal way to do that, and everybody is discovering that optimal way independently. Um, so we are still trying to like uh, uh, work and improve this optimal way to make it even better. But so far, I think the whole industry is coming to the conclusion that there are certain ways of doing interoperability, and in terms of uniqueness, we are kind of focused on the user journey um, more than the um, like how we are dealing with how we so the technology part of the solution is pretty much um, very well understood these days. So we have a pretty good, interesting technology. There are other chains that are working on interoperability. They also have technologies that is kind of, in a way, converging to the same way that we are doing things. But what I think is really important right now is not what's how like fancy your technology is. What is really important these days is how user friendly, developer friendly, more than user friendly, is your system. It's very important to make sure that someone can hop in and convert their single chain application to a multi-chain application without really having to understand what's going on underneath, and being able to trust that there is the layer that manages the cross-chain interactions and transaction is solid enough and has proper security that um, they don't need to worry about anything underneath. They just have to convert some things, just get a one-day overview of how to convert their app to the multi-chain app, and start building on top and start doing it. So I think that's really what is missing and what we're really focused on. And our experience with launching our bridges and other applications on multiple chains independently gives us a lot of groundwork, um, and a lot of real world experiences with doing the exact same thing, because that is something that we've been working on, we've been doing for years. So in a for example, our our bridge, we have implemented, ported the bridge to several non-EVM chains as well right now. And during the building of that piece of that product, we all had experienced how hard is it, what are the challenges, what are the real headaches of building something that works across chains. And now we are applying all those experience to our technology, which we call Quantum Portal, to that layer that works across different chains, in EVM based, non EVM, and Polkadot. And I think that is going to be our sort of a um, killer app, because we've done it before and we have the experience of what is really the pain point. So we're trying to make the best user experience, developer experience. Of course, best developer experience will end up as the best user experience. So I'm not sure if Taha has something to add, but I'll let Taha add something.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned is really important. I think it's also, I look at it as one of the key differentiators, because there are a lot of people right now trying to solve the problem with interoperability, but the solutions aren't necessarily something that is widely utilized, and a lot of that has to do with, even the solutions are so complicated that it makes you scratch your head 5 times, and then each developer kind of goes and figures out their own solution, because they're like, I don't have the time or the energy to go learn something that's more complex than just learning how to manage a multi-chain infrastructure on their own. So they're not really getting all the way to the point where it's usable. The way I look at what Ferrum is doing with its quantum portal technology, with its mantra of deployment style, where you build once and deploy everywhere, is, I kind of look at it as that moment where the introduction of smart contracts brought like a whole new ability to the blockchain world, to Ethereum. When Ethereum introduced the ability to launch smart contracts, essentially making the ability to sort of have um, the concept of Turing completeness available on the blockchain side. That's sort of what we are trying to bring with to the world of interoperability. In a sense, be able to build whatever you can imagine through a generic integration and deployment infrastructure called Quantum Portal that is built by Ferum Network. So I think that is a pretty unique approach from a developability standpoint to actually make it easier to use, to have a real incentive for developers to build in and deploy, to save them time, to save projects money, which makes overall a much better investment, a much better resource use for any project in crypto. So just some thoughts from my side on that, on what Naeem had shared as well.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah, we know that there are a lot of solutions out there, but how to optimize it, how to make it unique and so engage for everyone is not easy. But we can see that Ferrum Network did it. Yeah, in terms of user journey, in terms of developer-friendly environment and the breach and a lot more. Yeah, that's great work. We can all see. Yeah. So for the next question, I think it's kind of interesting. So we know that you have launched first on Ethereum, then expanded to Polkadot. So please tell us the story behind this decision. What is so amazing about Polkadot that you decided to launch Ferrum on?
Yeah, I think the decision kind of came from an alignment of mission and alignment of values. Polkadot launched as a bet against chain maximalism. Ferrum is a project that was born to support interoperability. So just the alignment of vision itself was huge. But of course, it goes much deeper than that. We had to go and review the tech stack. We had to go review Substrate itself, the palette framework that they've established, and review how this fits into our goals of combining the various thousands of blockchains at this point, but obviously targeting at first the ones with the most traction and volume. So our goal is to combine the .sama, EVM, Kusama, and the non-EVM ecosystems. So we had to pick a platform, so kind of like a home base. What is the best home base to do so? We had an option to go build our own network, an option to be EVM compatible and kind of launch just a layer 2 launch on the Cosmos ecosystem or the .sama ecosystem. We found after extensive review that the developer community, the support, the structure, the fact that Substrate is a Rust base, which is already quite stable and secure, which Naeem can comment on here in a second as well. And the developer community was thriving, so we would have immense feedback. And we understand that if you look at the success of the most impactful chains out there, their successes primarily come from the developer community being interested in building on that network and having the tools to build easily, manage, and scale easily on that specific network. So those specific values made a lot of sense, that while there's already a thriving community here, we can have a home base here to allow interconnectivity within the .sam ecosystem, but then we can contribute to the Substrate palette framework, kind of create a repository of tools that can be utilized by chains in the .sam ecosystem and also outside to deploy multi-chain tokens, multi-chain staking, and an unlimited amount of multi-chain solutions. And this is going to be enabled even if you are, let's say, deploying from BSC. You're trying to utilize our technology and interact with our quantum portal contracts from BSC, and you want to deploy a multi-chain token that has supply on a Polkadot chain, on an integrated EVM chain, and an integrated Cosmos chain. You can also do that. So that's a really amazing and powerful implementation of this technology, largely enabled by the underlying Polkadot ecosystem. And obviously the huge benefit here with going with Polkadot and the parachain model, which by the way we've just been able to secure a Kusama parachain a little while back, where we are implementing and iterating over our network in a mainnet environment, but we are in a phase where we get to test in a mainnet environment, which was the original vision of the Canary Network by Gavin Wood. So it all kind of comes together very well. But Naeem, if you can share a little bit from a technical perspective, the reasoning as well. Like, let's talk a little bit about substrate, rust stability, and any other thoughts in regards to that you might have for us going on the Polkadot side.
Absolutely. So, yeah, as Taha said, initially we were working on building our own chain, and we were not really convinced that we can maintain the security of a chain that is just launched in this. When Polkadot came out, it immediately got our attention because it really solves the problem that we had. We were spending a big portion of our time on it, which is how to make a secure chain, which means you just become a parachain. You don't need to worry about that at all. So it was immediately interesting. So I started looking at the. Also, there was other things like such as Cosmos, and Layer 2 was not very popular at the time for Ethereum. The technology was not advanced enough to easily build on top of it. But when we started looking at Polkadot and with Substrate, we just realized, okay, this looks like a really well written code, and it's properly architectured. It has all the building blocks that you need, and you can easily put together a chain um, in in just a few hours, and we start thinking about, okay, what are the other options, and mapping the solutions for multi-chain between that we had to to the complexity of implementing them on different systems, and we came to the conclusion that yeah, so it seems like Substrate is kind of the best thing out there. It's one of the very few, but it's the best with a big margin in terms of code stability and the architectural design. So we started building on top of Substrate, and it's been really great. And the community has proven very strong and very supportive so far.
Yeah, that's really a decision for a lot of benefits and good purpose. Yeah, Polkadot, everyone can see it is so potential in terms of technology and and substrate. Yeah, 100%. And the community, yeah, the community is so strong and engaging and supportive. Yeah, everything is so great. Yeah, and we can see the Polkadot is a very good fit for Ferrum Network. Yeah. So for our next question, it's about technology a little bit. So can you introduce more about you guys' core technology and what are some amazing experience that only Ferrum can bring to the users?
I think it's a great question. I want to kind of go into some of the things that we've already done, and I think that's also something that I'm really proud of as a separator from a few projects that are in the space that have just come out a year ago or even a few months ago. So Ferrum already has an established tech stack in the space since 2018. When Naeem and Ian co-founded the company, it was the end of the previous bull run, and they had to come up with a solution that would a technical solution that would be of interest and utility in the bull market or the bear market. So they introduced the concept of DeFi staking. It was one of the first use cases of DeFi staking in the space. Before that, you really only had effective use cases of staking for delegation to a network to run nodes, and other kinds of DeFi yield staking weren't really that popular. And that product has done incredibly well, has provided utility to hundreds, if not thousands of projects by now, and with a total TVL logged all-time high value at over $300 million worth without a single exploit over the last 4.5, 5 years. So that's something really incredible. And then built on top of that product was various different implementations, which led to liquidity staking, led to VIP and whitelisted staking, and of course we have NFT related staking, which gives access to various NFTs after you stake a certain token, also a whitelisted and VIP related element. But building on top of that technology, we launched a bridge in 2021, as Naeem mentioned. And again, when we launched that bridge, we didn't just come out and launch a product just because that was the hype back then. We actually looked at the problems that were identified by some of the existing bridging solutions and architecture that was out there, and we looked to improve the security implementation of the bridging infrastructure in the bridging space. So we launched a bridge that followed a core tenet that it did not mint any tokens. It instead followed, instead of doing a lock and mint or a burn and mint architectural approach, it was a two-way liquidity pool bridge where only native tokens were settled with the bridge across networks. And it was interesting to see if that would be a successful concept. And with that, we've also transacted over $250 million worth of transacted volume and have not had a single exploit as well. And that is largely in part, obviously, to the architecture itself, but also the operational security, which limits the amount of liquidity that is stored in the bridge pool. It is able to be decentralized and stored in multiple multi-sig safes, which are managed by projects themselves. That journey has brought us now to the launch of multi-swap, which is a cross-chain swapping protocol. And I mention all these products because these are different use cases of interoperability that we already have live, with hundreds of millions in traction already across different networks. And now we are building that into our mainnet through our quantum portal technology and through the Ferrum mainnet itself. With quantum portal and Ferrum mainnet, of course, as we mentioned at the beginning of the call, as Anna kind of mentioned in the brief, we are bringing data and value interoperability to essentially any chain that we integrate with. So it's been an exciting journey to kind of cover the various use cases that are available and of need in crypto and Web3 right now, and we'll continue to evolve that technology as we go along. Naeem, if you want to hit a little bit on the quantum portal and mainnet side, and maybe one or two use cases that you can think of that are going to be impactful in your view.
Yeah, awesome. So clearly, the I mean, we are here because we have heard of multi. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I need to sell the idea of a multi-chain T app right now, but I can give some examples of useful multi-chain applications, and then I will add some unique thing that Quantum Portal has that I think is very important for success of some system like this. So, like Taha already mentioned, the multi-chain token. Right now, for example, if you are running a token for your application, for your product or for your system, your token is on one chain, and then you want to, like, let's say a token is on Ethereum, and you want to just trade your token on Polygon because the fees are lower. It doesn't really work. There's no way you can move your token from Ethereum to Polygon. So what people have done is the various different things. None of them are optimal. But if you have a truly multi-chain token, which means you define your token with this multiple supplies, and this can span. Maybe it's only you've got a multi-chain token that is only on Ethereum right now, but you want to add Polygon, you just move some of the supply from Ethereum to Polygon. That way, just solves the problem. You don't need to just go to community, build a new token, or have some risky wrapped tokens in different platforms, and every bridge can have it. So you can have multiple wrapped tokens and platforms that don't talk to each other. So this would be a very clean, reliable, secure product. You can think about a multi-chain lending. For example, you have a token that you want to use it as a collateral, and you need to get your loan on a different chain, or you pay your loan on a different chain. You will be able to do that. That's also saves you a lot of money in terms of moving things around. And if you're doing it like micro lending, small transactions, the transaction fees of moving tokens around and just moving USDT from one chain to another chain and figuring out how to change it to the right token, those kind of things will go away in the multi-chain lending. Makes the lending application really useful. And so, but there is one really key issue with the idea of multi-chain, right? If, let's say, your multi-chain works perfectly, but and multi-chain doesn't get hacked and your interactions are completely guaranteed, but if you ramp bridge or from Polkadot chain to some sort of random chain, and you're running an application between those two, and the random chain is not very secure, so your whole application is only as secure as the random chain. So um, that's a pretty big problem, so which makes the whole idea of multi-chain is a little bit concerning. But the innovation that we came up with in Quorum Portal is which we call value constraint proof of stake. Is that yes, you can. It gives the programmers and the users ability to um, put value or infer the value based on the tokens that are being transferred between the chains or the application on the transaction, which this will kind of enable developers to make an application that, okay, if my transaction is coming from a certain chain that is not as trustworthy as a transaction that is running on Ethereum or a Polkadot chain, I will check the whole like Quorum Portal will only um, so two things are happening here. One is that the application developer can put that into the consideration, so that they may have a solution. They may just have a different process if the chain is not very trustworthy. So instead of like running the transaction immediately, they would just give it a few days and before executing it. And the second thing that comes in with one portal value constraint chain transaction is that the every multi-chain transaction has got a concept of a dollar value on it, and the quantum portal miners and validators that are confirming these transactions will need to sort of have enough in a stage to to proportional to the value of that transaction. So if you have a transaction that moves $100 million, that transaction will not be the same as a transaction that moves at $100. And this whole thing is kind of verified on chain. There is no need for off-chain oracles or something like that. The whole thing that's on chain is just verified on L1. Of course, where it is possible, some cases this is not possible, but when it is, then it adds a much bigger layer of security to the app that you probably won't be able to a hack sort of a compromise that is really big is going to much even if it happens, it's going to have a much harder time to just happen because of this idea of the whole system is aware of the value of the transaction. So the details are a little bit too technical to go into, but the idea is that basically.
Wow, that's a lot of achievements and milestones along the way when it comes to technology, and that's so proud and amazing. Yeah, and we really love your examples, Mr. Naim, and it's so nice to get to know more about what we are supposed to catch up with, the multi-chain applications and token, yeah, and how we can interact with it and benefit from it. Yeah, that's amazing work. Yeah, indeed. So we mentioned a lot about security. So how does Ferum Network really ensure the security and efficiency in cross-chain data and value transfers?
I think that might be another good one for you to cover about value constrained POS and relying on the on-chain security for the quantum portal side. Maybe you can also hint on our background, the bridge.
So you're breaking. Can you repeat?
I was saying that in addition to the quantum portal value constraint related items, maybe you can also hit on the background of the bridge architecture and why we went with a more secure architecture there. Would be interested to hear your thoughts on all of that.
Okay, wonderful. So so that's interesting. What is about security is we have launched a lot of like cross-chain products before, and that fortunately none of them has been compromised. And let's just start with security of bridge because it's simpler, and then we move to quantum portal. So, for example, our bridge product was initially just like the a threshold signing, like most bridges out there. It was a threshold multi-sig bridge. For example, I forgot the name of the bridge, but basically the way it works is that a bunch of people come together, a quorum or a group of people come together to sign transactions, and these quorum will be nodes that will be basically able to sign transactions together without knowing a private key individually. So that's kind of a way that has been used so far for almost all bridges out there. I think even without exception. But those quorum is still pretty small, so it gives us some degree of security, but not good enough decentralized security. That's why a lot of bridges you see got hacked, and there was a few major cases that was an issue with the signature algorithm. And in the bridge, before even we work on the quantum portal, we started this 3-layer base of security model, which was the bridge has got 3 type of nodes: generators, validators, and the master nodes. And the generators are the ones that suggest transactions to the system. They kind of looking at the events that are happening and suggesting it to the bridge system. Validators are the nodes that go and validate these transactions, and master nodes are the ones that only look at the validators and kind of extend this layer of multisig to the validators, which gives us, in a sense, an explosion of signatures required for a transaction to go through. Right? If a normal quorum is just a few nodes to sign a transaction, we are kind of exploding this number to a much bigger number of nodes that need to agree to sign a transaction without really increasing the on-chain complexity. And also there's some inherent limitation to the threshold multi-sig algorithms, and you can't just scale them up, but it kind of solves that problem. And now going to quantum portal, we used some of these ideas, and also we sit on top of this benefit that we are on Polkadot system, and we don't need to really worry about the chain security at all, because it's kind of guaranteed with the parachain. For cross Polkadot system, we have XCM, which also guarantees the security of messages being passed and the order of messages being passed, which gives us another layer of reliability, makes our work easier. And then when we look at the outside Polkadot ecosystem, between like EVM chains or other chains, we are using this concept of multi-chain a value constraint proof of stake, which is a mixture of 3 things. This is an optimistic algorithm. So basically, we have an on-chain proof generation of transactions So if a miner generates false transactions, it is possible to prove that transaction is false, that block is invalid on chain, and that miner will be punished, and they have his stake is slashed. And that kind of optimistic um, um, algorithm, optimistic proofs, gives us sort of security guarantee that the block always valid cross chain, but what it doesn't give us yet is that if the value of the block is so high that is the miner makes sense for it to just lose the slash and still do something wrong. Uh, for that, um, there is another layer of validators that will also check. So someone has to both corrupt the miner and also the validators. But also on top of that, there is the value constraint idea, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, that also limits the ability of miner to to validate blocks, or to mine blocks that are more valuable than is a stake, at least to some degrees, which will completely eliminate once if this value isn't inferred correctly, the ability of miner to have a, someone to exploit the system by becoming like a miner validator or exploiting both, even if they exploit everybody in the chain, but they still can't steal enough money that is worth their um, stake, which I think it's a very important piece of the puzzle here, because this is kind of enforced on the L1. So basically, it's enforced on the base layer. Well, for example, if you're running on Ethereum, it's enforced on the Ethereum layer. So um, that kind of, I think, makes as bulletproof security as we can imagine, without obviously causing a lot of overhead, because there are ways you can make it even more bulletproof, but then you have to pretty much replicate every transaction on every chain. It would be super expensive.
It's a balance between usability, feasibility, and keeping it secure. It's kind of like, thinking of, you can make your vehicle really secure if you take the engine off the mounts and take the wheels off. No one's going to steal and drive away, but every time you want to drive it, if you have to put it all together, that's inconvenient. So I think that's a really good balance that you've described, that we've been able to accomplish with valid constraint, with the multiple layers of signatures required, with relying on the underlying security of the relay chain, and the native chains where the contracts are deployed, native chain security as well. So hopefully that gives some insight. Obviously, this is a much deeper topic for those that are interested in those technical details. I would encourage everyone to go check out docs.ferumnetwork.io, ferumnetwork.io, where we have our white paper listed and the architecture of a lot of our products listed as well, that dives a bit deeper into the security infrastructure and our overall architectural approach as well.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Lord. We really love this information. Yeah, security is always a huge problem and supposed to be one of the main focuses all the time. Yeah, and with Ferrum Network, we can see a lot of great efforts have been made to secure and enhance users' journey at the same time, and that's really amazing. Yeah. So it's time for us to look forward a little bit. So can you give us a glimpse of some of your upcoming steps for Ferrum to grow more in the rest of 2023 or even further? Yeah, just a little bit of them, it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting times ahead. I really look at Ferrum as an undiscovered gem from a standpoint of what we are doing, because we've been around for a few years, but really our core value is going to be in the upcoming year and a half, 2 years, is where it's going to start to get fully realized. Right around the Bitcoin halving and a lot of the really exciting events coming up, As we all know, there's a lot more interest in crypto, which gives us an opportunity to serve that interest and to serve the various use cases and the needs of the industry. So we have, in preparation of all of the different use cases that are going to come in 2024, we have already secured a slot on Kusama, where we have deployed our first iteration of quantum portal network infrastructure, which is a part of our Ferrum infrastructure. And we are taking this time now on Kusama to perfect and iterate over this infrastructure. We are deploying some of our technical stack over there. We're deploying some of our use cases over there. We're getting developers to start getting onboarded in the upcoming quarters and actually start building multi-chain solutions. We're deploying a multi-chain token standard, which is going to standardize the management of multi-chain token supply. If anybody has had to launch a token on multiple chains, they understand the magnitude of problems that come along with managing and maintaining multi-chain supply, and then working with aggregators such as CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko and others to update that supply and to keep your tokenomics in check. With our multi-chain token standard and the technology invented by Naeem, actually, through the deployment of it on Quantum Portal, you don't have to do that. Quantum Portal keeps track of the state of the supply across networks and is able to automatically update that supply based on the events that are occurring in relation to that supply. So I think what's going to be is really exciting is that we're going to take the next 2 to 3 quarters to perfect and improve and iterate over the Quantum Portal Network stack that is deployed on Kusama. And then as we get around May to June of 2024, we're going to be taking that perfected mainnet stack and deploying that and applying for a slot on the Polkadot side, and getting a Polkadot slot for a parachain slot for Ferum Network itself. And from there, taking all of the improved technology, all of the refined technology, and opening it up to the world. The other thing that's really beautiful about this approach is that while we are improving and iterating, we'll be already integrated with dozens of EVM compatible, quite a few non-EVM compatible, and quite a few even Cosmos networks by May of 2024, which means that on day one of the launch of Ferum Network, developers will be able to deploy a multi-chain DApp with a simplified deployment process. We like to call it, with some of the DApps that are going to be more standard use cases like multi-chain token, multi-chain staking, multi-chain lending. It would be a one-click deployment to as many chains as you would like, including EVM, Sama, non-EVM, and Cosmos chains. So that's something really exciting, and we're continuing to work and evolve on that. So that's on the mainnet side. We are also deploying, we have actually already released our multi-swap product, which is a cross-chain swapping protocol, a cross-chain swap aggregator. It is the only swapping protocol out there right now which will allow you to swap any token on any chain that's integrated for any other token on any other integrated chain for no platform or bridge fees at all right now for a limited time. So if you're looking to move tokens from one chain to another, this is the only swapping protocol that I know of right now that is not charging any fees. Of course, that's not going to last forever, but it's a good time to take advantage of that if you're looking to move tokens from one network to the other. This product is also going to improve and evolve over the next quarter or two, and then continue to evolve from there. But over the next 2 quarters, there's some really exciting updates that are going to bring something to the Web3 space that I can't share just yet, but that has not existed just yet, and it is going to entirely change the way that we market and capitalize on the full cycle journey of a user in crypto. We're really excited to drop what we're building on here in over the next month and a half. We're going to be doing some reveals, and I really believe that this advancement in terms of user journeys is going to change the way that crypto operates, in the way that crypto projects in crypto market, and track their ROI for marketing as well.
Wow, that's really great. And Mr. Naim, do you would like to add in something?
Well, I think Taha put it very thoroughly, so I'll just leave it at that. Uh,
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so many worth expecting collaborations happening, and also about the mainnet updates. Wow, it's exciting already. Yeah, we know that a lot of hard work have to be done to make all of them come into play. But with Ferrum Network, yeah, we believe that we definitely having a lot of good news ahead. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, well, it's for the last question of the main dish. Yeah, we've done the appetizer, the main dish, so we cannot miss dessert. Yeah, so this is what we have for it. So maybe one of the audience may know this if you really follow our AMA for the very first days. Yeah. So Mr. Naim, Mr. Taha, if you supposed to describe how you proud of Ferrum Network in just 3 words, it can be nouns or adjectives, yeah, or sentences if it easier for you. Yeah, so what would they be, sir?
Yeah, I think, in my view, developer friendly, secure, and reliable would be the 3 words that I would choose. Naeem, what are your thoughts?
yeah, I would say like my full favorite thing. It's not really a Ferrum related thing, but more of a crypto thing on a bigger vision, which is power to individuals, and it's kind of the vision. And the next would be in the same setup that um, bringing that power to everybody. So the whole idea is, okay, we want to give their financial powers to individuals and make it so easy that everybody can use it, regardless of their uh, complexity.
Well, that's really lovely words. Yeah, thank you, sir, a lot. Yeah, that's really something that we can see about Ferrum Network. So, developer friendly, reliable, secure, and the great vision there. And yeah, you guys wanna optimize, wanna make the user journey easier as much as possible, and that's really what we really appreciate about Ferrum Network. Yeah. So I think it's all about today. I hope that you guys enjoy it very much. So before we say goodbye, Mr. Taha and Naim, do you have any words left or announcement left for the listeners today before we say goodbye?
I just want to thank you for hosting this space. And, I also do want to share for anyone that is interested in learning more to check out our socials, to check out Ferum.network, our website, our YouTube channel, and of course, the white paper that I mentioned earlier has a lot of information on our architecture at docs.ferrumnetwork.io. We are continuing to launch a lot of exciting products. As I mentioned, Multiswap is currently available as essentially a protocol fee free swapping aggregator. So if anybody's looking to swap tokens from, BSC, Arbitrum, Polygon, uh, any of those, we have about a dozen EVM integrated networks and integrating the .SOM ecosystem. Here shortly, we are also integrating Kudos on that D app as well. So definitely be sure to check that out. But moving funds right now is free. You just have to pay the gas, obviously, whichever network that you are swapping from and to. We're actually paying withdrawal gas for users right now too. So that's an exciting product to utilize currently. And we have some other exciting updates coming up with Quantum Portal and the marketing side that I mentioned. So it would be good to keep track of the socials to stay up to date with those. And we're excited to continue to build and provide a lot of value to the space. And thank you, Anna, for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you so a lot. Yeah, and you guys, please follow up with Ferrum Network on the social media from YouTube, Twitter, the dot. Yeah, for not missing any the latest updates, interesting news that you're gonna regret if you missed out. Yeah. So I think it's all about today, and thank you, Ms. Taha and Naim again for being here and with those great sharings. We really appreciate that, and also Ferum Network, yeah, and the audience who have stayed with us till this time. I really appreciate that, and I hope that you just had a really relaxing time with us. Yeah, and if you want to hear this recording again, it's gonna be a recording. Just hit it, and it's always on our Twitter. Yeah, and if you have any questions for our speakers, please do not hesitate to DM us, and we're gonna have it connected to our speakers and get back the answers to you as soon as possible. Yeah. And I think it's all about today. And thank you everyone so much again for coming and enjoying. Yeah, and it's time for us to say goodbye. So goodbye everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.